Already this year, we have seen how protesters use sporting events to get their voices heard. These scenes from the Formula One in Bahrain were shown all over the world and put the race in jeopardy. I know, as an athlete, sharing the stage with a protester is the last thing you want after years of training, especially when that stage is going to be witnessed by 4 billion people. So, should the Olympics be the right platform for protesters to make their stand? 4 years ago, Connie Huck's leg of the Olympic torch relay was disrupted by human rights protesters. And more recently, the Oxford and Cambridge boat race was thrown into chaos by Trenton Oldfield swimming across the course. Before I was even a glimmer in my dad's eye, people were disrupting public events in order to gain publicity for their cause, some of whom have even gone on to greater things. In 1970, former Minister Peter Hain protested against South Africa's proposed cricket tour of England. He managed to stop the tour and in the process split the country's opinion.
And this is why we think we have every chance of succeeding.
You're still very proud of your protests?
Yes, I am. We took a stand against teams that were selected on the basis of race. And that's why we used tactics to run on the pitch, lay siege to the team in its hotel, and we physically stopped these tours from happening, and that was a major blow against apartheid in stopping those racist tours.
I do feel for the cricketers that missed out. Have you spoken to any of them over the years? Have you remained friends with any of them? Did any of them actually agree with you?
Interestingly, some of the white South African cricketers who themselves were denied the opportunity to tour in 1970 and then excluded from world cricket thereafter have subsequently said to me that I was right, that we were right. But I don't think people should lightly or easily or casually target sport for protest. South Africa was a unique case. I think you've got to be really, really careful about protesting against sporting events, because in the end you'll just stop sport happening if you use any old excuse to target a particular sports event.
Whereas Peter's actions in the 70s used sport to highlight and ultimately help break apartheid, many of the protests at London 2012 are against the sponsors or organisers of the Games. Greenwash Gold, the Counter Olympics Network and Our Olympics are just some of the groups who are planning protests. Say the marathon runners are passing here. Yeah, you're not going to physically touch them, but if you were to run in front of them and they've got to stop and swerve to get out of your way, you see that as okay?
Absolutely. We're planning to make the London 2012 Games the greatest act of non-violent civil disobedience of our age, because we feel it warrants it, based on the exorbitant cost of the Olympic Games, based on the unethical corporate sponsors of London 2012, but also the context in which the Olympics takes place, which is one of crushing austerity measures which are really punishing the most vulnerable groups in our society.
I understand what you're saying. There's a lot of things behind the scenes in every walk of life, in every business, where you may deem it as unethical, but you know, I'm just doing my job, and my job is to be an athlete.
And our job as members of a society is to make that society as ethical, as sustainable and as responsible as we can. And this form of protest is absolutely the centre of making sure our society is held to the highest ethical standards that we can possibly do.
On the busiest days, 9,000 officers will police the Games with access to over 12,000 cameras coordinated from a special operations room with a staff of 300. And the Met have already started taking preemptive action. Simon Moore was involved in a campaign to stop the construction of a temporary basketball training venue on Leighton Marsh. He now has an Olympic ASBO.
The ASBO prohibits me from entering or remaining within 100 yards of any existing or proposed Olympic competition or practice venue or route.
So, worst case scenario, if a police officer was to come here and know you've got an ASBO, you face jail?
Yes, I could be sent to prison for up to 5 years.
5 years, that's a long time. You obviously feel very strongly about this.
Well, I don't think that I'm doing anything which is unjust. If the law deems that what I'm doing is illegal, then I'm prepared to break the law in this instance.
Ultimately, how successful any of these protests are will depend on how much sympathy they gain. Olympics Minister Hugh Robertson has urged the public to shop anybody who they believe are plotting to disrupt the Games. The London 2012 Olympics should be an opportunity for British athletes to shine. I think it would be unfortunate if that chance were overshadowed by protests, however democratic they are.